Of course, design principles, like ethics, are really very general statements. They're not rules that tell us exactly what we should do. They're thinking tools that we can use in situations where we can think, how does this principle apply in this situation? There are design principles that we don't acknowledge that are behind what we do in society. The idea that you can't stop technological progress, that big is automatically better, that conflict is resolved by separating things that are in conflict. In a way, we do have design principles, but we don't get taught them. We just sort of osmotically absorb them. And unfortunately, those design principles are leading us astray both at an individual level and humanity as a whole. So we're not talking about rules that will direct an exact outcome, because of course the outcomes need to be different in different situations, different contexts. Permaculture solutions change all the time. The strategies and techniques in permaculture are constantly varying from place to place, and what might be appropriate in one context is not in another. But the design principles are general guides that we can use to shape what we're doing or reflect on whether a particular design solution is appropriate.
So, what are these 12 permaculture principles that can be used as tools to inform your thinking and permaculture design and actions in so many ways? Let's go through them briefly. We start off with the big mainframe principles, thinking tools that you might use before starting a new design project or taking up a new habit to look at the whole of what's going on and drive you forward. Principle 1 is observe and interact. This principle reminds us to use our senses and our power of observation to really assess things before taking action, rather than just charging in based upon something that we've read or been told. Principle 2 is catch and store energy. This principle reminds us that energy is flowing through our systems all the time in the form of sunlight, wind, water, money, the harvest, and a million other forms. But this energy often only comes in pulses, so it's important that we learn to store it in whatever form it takes so that we can use it whenever we need it. Principle 3 is obtain a yield. This principle goes hand in hand with Principle 2, and it's these principles that help drive systems forward. To keep going, you must obtain some sort of yield in some form, whether that's veggies, stored power, stored heat, or stronger community relationships as a result of your efforts. Otherwise, it's just too hard to keep going. Principle 4 is apply self-regulation and accept feedback. This principle balances the two before it and is just as important. It's a constraining principle to ensure your ongoing evaluation and to ensure you take the time to adjust to whatever you discover as a result. Principle 5 is use and value renewable resources and services. This principle is more of a familiar concept. It's about designing for and choosing to interact with services and products that are renewable rather than ones that will deplete and disappear. Principle 6 is produce no waste. You might be familiar with this one as it creeps back into our society. It's the concept of using every part of the thing or making choices to only work with, buy or choose things that you can use entirely. Principle 7 is design from pattern to details. This principle is also about looking at the whole rather than just the details, which is something we often need to be reminded of in this reductionist world of ours. Principle 8 is integrate rather than segregate. This principle encourages us to integrate elements and functions rather than keep them neatly apart, which always ends up being more wasteful. It's about using one element's outputs as another element's inputs to reduce pollution, conserve energy, and to make the most of the resources that we have. Principle 9 is use small and slow solutions. This principle is about both mimicking nature, how small seeds slowly grow into big trees, and also about elegance and efficiency of design, using the simplest solution rather than something big and fast to achieve our goals while staying within our limits. Principle 10 is use and value diversity. This principle is about valuing both the biodiversity of life to create stable systems, but also about using and valuing diverse solutions to a problem so that you don't run the risks associated with putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Principle 11 is use edges and value the marginal. This principle reminds us to look to the margins because that's often where valuable change and action is happening. This change may be small, but it's often significant and can be of great value to us in all sorts of ways. Principle 12 is creatively use and respond to change. This final principle is a powerful one. It's all about acknowledging natural and other processes and responding to them in a useful way rather than blocking those processes and working against them. It's about going with the flow and using that to your design advantage on both the meta and the micro level. Alrighty, so that's the 12 principles, which will lead you through one principle per module during this course. As you can see, these principles can be used in all sorts of ways. We've included a bunch of resources below if you'd like to dive deeper into them. Comment below if you have any specific questions and we'll do our very best to help. Next up, it's time to think about what you want to get out of this whole experience by defining a personal goal statement for yourself during this course.